Hey, everybody. Happy Monday. I am so excited because it's that time of the year. It's the IT Expo Tech Super Show down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And Rich Tehrani and his team have been working tirelessly to create another amazing event. Rich, how are you?
Fantastic, Evan. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. So excited in the run up to IT Expo. And for those viewers and listeners who may not be familiar with you and your work, introductions, of course. Tell us about yourself, the long, decades long history with IT Expo, and what we can expect this year.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, I'm CEO of a media company, TMC. We educate typically buyers, enterprise, corporate buyers on technology, how to make their businesses better, more productive, more efficient, etc. In the late 90s, we launched a show called IT Expo. Back in the day, it was called Internet Telephony Conference and Expo. It actually launched at the Hotel del Coronado in San Diego, Coronado Island, a beautiful place. Now it's annually in the South Florida area. This year it's going to be in the Broward County Convention Center, February 11th through 13th. And what's it all about? It's about bringing buyers and sellers together, enterprises, companies that are looking to make their companies more efficient, productive, to compete effectively in the market. We're talking about communications carriers like your large, your Verizons all the way down. Um, Companies of all sizes, small to medium businesses, also MSPs, managed service providers. We've got a lot of people from industry. In other words, like those people who actually have tech businesses, CEOs, managers of tech businesses that make the routers and security devices and things like that that we all need to keep our businesses up and running. And we also have a number of co-located events, which make IT Expo a tech super show. And without going into all of them, I'll just give you an overview. There are some focused on cybersecurity, the future of the customer experience, the future of work. How do we optimize the workforce in this kind of hybrid world where we're trying to get everyone back to the office? At least many companies are, but they're still working at home part-time. How do we optimize that efficiency regardless of where the workforce is? And of course, this will now be the third generative AI Expo, and we're really
Mm.
pumped about that. There's so much going on with Gen AI, and I think people at this point should know that if you're not at least adopting it, learning about it, you're going to get left behind. And the speed of innovation in the AI space is faster than anything else we've ever seen, meaning the pace of you getting left behind by your competitors is going to be like nothing you've ever seen. What does that mean? Practically, it means being able to do more work with less people, um, being able to spot trends within your business that need addressing, being able to optimize your processes, just all the kinds of things that if you're a ChatGPT user that you've noticed these improvements that it's made in the last few years. Now, if you apply that on a large scale to your business, how do you do that best? That's why you come to a show like Generative AI Expo. That's just part of this IT Expo Tech Super Show. Um, and I know it's kind of a long. I was hoping to keep this short, but just while I'm here, one last final point. The most important thing that our attendees tell us about this Tech Super Show is that there are so many people with similar kinds of problems, and they're at different stages of the journey, different stages of the AI journey, the MSP journey, whatever journey they're on. And when you're in a room with those people, because you'll be going to conference sessions, for example, or at the booths or wherever else you are, networking receptions, the networking that goes on is something that is not easily something you can replicate on the internet, because you'll be having a conversation with one person and they'll say, oh, talk to this person, talk to that person. Next thing you know, you're having a group conversation and you're learning about what another company did with the same problems in maybe a related area. And now you're like, oh, okay, so this doesn't work the way the manufacturer told me it would, or the service provider told me it would. Maybe I need to do this and this and this. Maybe I need to modify what I was thinking. And so when you combine the learning experience of the conferences, the discovery in the exhibit hall, and then the networking at the receptions and inside of the sessions, you end up with just 3 days of jam-packed education that ends up making your business better, more productive, more efficient, more profitable.
Wow, that's quite a pitch, and I can attest to all of that. I've been going for a decade, and just to highlight the value of attending. I mean, I was at CES for this past week, and it was fun and entertaining, and lots of hype, but not much real practical business utility. And of course, IT Expo is all about business value, whether you're a small business, a mom and pop shop almost, or a large enterprise, you're going to deliver and discover, really fascinating solutions for, practical value. Maybe talk about that. Who should attend or exhibit, and why? What's the why of attending IT Expo if you're a business owner, business person, CTO, CIO, what have you?
It's a great question, and we do see different titles from companies, from managers, directors, IT directors, cybersecurity directors coming to the event. This is a business show. I am a gadget guy at heart. I love gadgets, and I followed CES. I didn't go this year, but we were just talking off camera, and we talked about this robotic vacuum cleaner. There's a vacuum cleaner at CES that can pick up dots, which is kind of cool. Okay, great, but you'll go to IT Expo and you'll learn how you can deploy, let's say, a phone solution that keeps your productivity or increases your productivity by 20, 30% while saving you money and making you look better in front of your customers, right? Improving your customer satisfaction, your customer retention. So while the actual solutions are not as sexy, if making profit and staying in business and not having to have layoffs and things like that are exciting to you, then you want to go to a show, a business to business show like IT Expo. And just to continue on that, I really loved the same thing at CES that you liked, which was this laptop that there are a couple laptops that expand and contract, right? I think that's really cool. But then when I think about it, it's not very practical, right? So solutions at CES are very, very cool, but not all of them are practical and are not going to necessarily help your business. I wouldn't recommend deploying 5,000 laptops that extend and shrink in an organization and tested it for a while because you don't know what the lifespan is of something like that. Well, the solutions at IT Expo primarily are tried, tested, true. A lot of these exhibitors have been at this show for decades, and a lot of new ones as well. But the point is, I can tell you from exhibitors I've spoken with that when a prospect comes to their booth and says, "Well, I'm interested in doing this and this, can you?" They just walk down the aisle and they bring in another vendor, and maybe there's a reseller involved. They bring in a reseller, and now there's a discussion about an actual deployment and how it's worked for customers X, Y, and Z in a similar industry. And now you have a comfort level that is very, very difficult to get online because even, I'm an avid Amazon shopper and I read the reviews, and we know how much fraud there is in those reviews. And I really try to screen those reviews carefully to see, this looks too good. Is this fraudulent? Is this not fraudulent? You just don't know. But when you're talking to a person at a trade show that has no vested interest, especially if it's a third party customer or a reseller or something like that of multiple solutions, you get an unbiased amount of information in such a short amount of time that you have a comfort level with deployment. Because I know online, a lot of times I'm researching and I'll go down a rabbit hole because I see these reviews, they're too good to be true. I'm betting a lot of money on something. Do I really want to do this? Do I believe it? In person, it's a different story. Not to say that everyone's 100% above board, but when you don't have a vested interest, I feel more comfortable. And that's kind of what these trade shows do, especially these business to business shows where people have done similar things, have similar problems. There's like a spirit of camaraderie. So it's really exciting. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, me too. And it's not just the expo, the trade show that's really interesting and informative. It's the industry experts and industry analysts that you invite and attract and have really amazing tracks all throughout the days of IT Expo. Talk about that. You really have who's who of the industry there, including myself, but the real analysts who kind of will set the scene for 2025. What are the trends and opportunities and where to focus? Because I don't know on everything, and I rely on these experts for guidance and advice, and particularly where to invest, where to spend money, who to acquire, and why, and so much more.
That's a point which is really of interesting and of note that it's worth considering for a conferee, somebody that wants to come to a conference session. We do our best to bring the best in breed people like you, Evan, as you pointed out, that know the industry, that are respected analysts, respected leaders, thought leaders in the space. And we pair them with practitioners of these solutions. And we also pair them with some vendors as well. It's kind of a combination. So if you're sitting in a conference session, you could be sitting in a panel where you have this third-party expert analyst who's a moderator, and you have maybe a practitioner, someone who's deployed some sort of generative AI solution, and then you've got maybe two vendors in that space. And so by listening to them for a period of time, you really get a well-rounded perspective of whatever that topic is that you were interested in. And at the end, a lot of times you can go and talk to the practitioner, or you can talk to the analyst or the vendors or whoever you want more information from. A lot of times you'll see them in the exhibit hall. And so that's kind of the discovery process, right? In action, you go into a session that you're interested in, you learn about it, and then you can go deeper on the points that make sense. And we've been doing this for a long time now, and the fact that we have these relationships with top analysts allows us to really get these great people to come to our show. I mean, it's easy, right? It's February 11th through 13th. It's Florida. The rest of the country, the rest of the world is cold. Where I can tell you the Canadian analysts really like coming down to Florida. The Midwest analysts, right? The North Dakota analysts. So, and that's how it works, really. I mean, just you have a show in a great location. You've been doing this for over 40 events, and you just try to improve it every single time. And that's our goal, is to just make this show a must attend. And then it's not just for a single person. We try to make it for a buying team. What do I mean by that? Well, you've got, depending on the size of your company, there may be a few people in the cybersecurity space that make decisions, and a few people that are helping to deploy AI, and maybe there's some other people in the telecom area. You bring that team down to the show, and we offer special passes that are, discounted passes if you bring your team. And we do that because we want your team there, because this is the one place in the world in the B2B space where you can learn about everything you need to learn about in business technology. And you do it in a couple days. You go home and you deploy. The fact that we're in February, Q1 is where most of the budgets are. People tell me all the time that they plan their budgets around this show. The timing is just perfect for that. And so, we encourage you, come down, make a short list of the vendors, pick who you want to buy from. Hopefully you'll pick some of the vendors at the show, and make your company better, make it more efficient, make it more productive, more resilient to this constant technology disruption that we're all seeing. And I think that's just the future, staying on top of these things. And especially AI is going to impact every single aspect, even if it's not part of the generative AI Expo. AI is now in everything, as we all know. It's making everything more productive, more efficient. And if you play your cards right, you could generate a lot more revenue with a lot less work. That's the goal, right? To try to be more productive, resilient, financially successful.
Fantastic. And it was just packed last year, this time of year. Here's some photos here from last year. It was great to see everyone back in person, face to face, and that's only going to continue. Um, what are some of the tech trends and themes that you're excited about? You're also an investor and a banker, as it happens in this industry. What are some of the 2025 trends that are going to tie into the discussions at IT Expo?
Uh, All right, I'm just trying to think of the ordering. I mentioned AI. AI is obviously revolutionizing everything. The work at home hybrid thing, we're all trying to figure that out. It hasn't been, I don't think it's been finalized. There's still
Mm.
companies trying to bring people back to the office, and some are more
Or
successful.
demanding they head back. JP Morgan's, of course, big news last week, 100% in office all the time, a few exceptions. So
Yeah, and
change
that
is afoot.
interestingly, that was the case before the announcement, right? That so I know a bunch of people that work there, and so that, believe it or not, that was not news. But New York banks are kind of, I look at them as an exception. They have a, it's a different model. They're able to get those people back, but most of the other companies that I'm seeing, it's much tougher for them to do so, and so you're going to end up with some kind of a hybrid solution. And the reality is, the best of the best talent out there has discovered that they can work from home and they like it. And so you're not going to access the best of the best talent if you're 100% in the office. It's just, in banking, maybe slightly different. And JP Morgan is such a, you know, a marquee name. It's a little bit different.
Mm.
But for a lot of other industries, if you're a mid-sized company, in the Midwest or wherever you are, it's not as easy, right? Because people might have moved, they might have moved to different areas and they're working from wherever and they like to travel. And as long as they're able to optimize their productivity wherever they are, I think that's going to be the future. Maybe not for everyone, but a portion of the best workers out there are going to want that flexibility. And so companies have got to think that through before they make these mandates, with few exceptions, right? So, getting back to the original question, which was trends, so that's work from home. There's AI. The IoT space has been kind of interesting. There's a whole co-located number of events at this show called IoT Evolution, and there's a few others in industrial IoT, et cetera, smart city. That market kind of hockey sticked, and then it kind of came down in terms of just the hype cycle. And I'm thinking that the future of AI is training. And what I mean by that is that data is the heart of AI. The better data you have, the more data you have, the more diverse data you have, the better your AI models are, and the better your company is going to be able to take advantage of AI to do the things it needs to do. And IoT devices are uniquely positioned to be outputting this data on a regular basis. Very, tremendous amounts of streams of data that can allow a company to make something called a digital twin of their organization. And using
Mm.
that digital twin, you can do things like mess around with different parameters. And by messing around with those parameters virtually, you can see what is the output, what's the outcome if I were to do this, 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 and this. The concept of digital twin is not new, but now with AI, now with the ability to do more with that data, I think we're going to see a resurgence of the need for data. And I think that means that the IoT space can see a resurgence, because if we think about it, Evan, this data that's been on the internet, it's just been kind of sitting there, right, for what, decades? And it's been useful. We search and we look for the data, and maybe we write a program that scrapes some websites. But then all of a sudden AI came out and it took the same data that we sort of took for granted, and it has done something new. It's added a layer on top of that data. What does that mean? That means the data just became exponentially more valuable. And we didn't think about it. It was websites, right? It was just a bunch of stuff on the web. Now it's a much, much more interactive AI experience. When I do a search in AI, Claude, or OpenAI, wherever I go, I am able to get so much detailed information about the problems I need solved. That, coupled with the output of massive amounts of AI, let's say cameras and sensors and temperature trackers and GPS trackers, things like that, I'm able to put real time models of my enterprise in the cloud, and then, like I said, use AI and try to optimize. Ask AI, you've got all this data. How would you optimize this? Where would you cut? Where would you add? Where would you put more resources? Right? And it's something that we didn't have a few years ago, but we have it now. And so I think AI could really propel the IoT space just because of the need for data. So those are three hot areas. I left out cybersecurity. Every year is a great year for cybersecurity, because if you're a criminal in another country and there's no extradition treaty and you're protected, you're just going to steal more and more money from rich nations, right? You're just going to steal more. It is, that's the reality of life. And so rich nations, companies in rich nations need to have better and better cybersecurity every single year. It's a problem that doesn't go away. Is the issue the human being in the loop? A lot of times it's training of the human. A lot of times it's just poor management of the IT solutions. Something's not encrypted. Passwords are left unencrypted on a cloud server. There are all sorts of reasons why important privileged information leaks, and companies have to do better. Certainly, states like New York and California are trying to punish companies that are not doing a good job keeping track of data and that that have these leaks. And if you have a hack, you not only have a tougher time getting cybersecurity insurance in the future, but you could have class action lawsuits, and you now can have attorney generals all over you trying to find you out of existence. And so it's a new era in cybersecurity, I'd say, only because now we've got the cyber insurance rates have gone way up, and now these attorney generals are getting much more. They're much more interested in going after you. So you really have to be so careful now more than ever. And that's why there are a number of cybersecurity companies at this show. You should come to the exhibit hall. There's an enterprise cybersecurity expo that's new. Come learn about cybersecurity, register for that. Keep your data safe, right? After all, if your business is thriving, but you have a hack and you get ransomware where all of your computers are shut down for a week, and now you're suffering through that for a number of months or years, and that sometimes it takes years. I've seen companies shut down because of a single hack. You've got to do what you can do to keep it safe. So come to this
Yeah,
show.
there's so much to learn about best practices at IT Expo and learn from the experts, including cybersecurity. And it's showing a lot of the pictures from last year. It's a people focused event. It really is a great place not just to learn but to network. And there's just tons of after hours gatherings and networking events and parties and what a great opportunity to come together. And just a final note on the industry, it seems like big tech has kind of sucked the oxygen out of the room in terms of events. You might be one of the few great independent shows left. I mean, that's not like a Microsoft event or an Amazon event or a Google of, it's and on and on. So you really can go to one place and meet everyone versus going to another big tech event.
Yeah, thanks, Evan. And our goal with this event has always been to be objective. And if you go to one of those other events, and I don't have anything negative to say about any of those industry events, they're great. I go to a bunch of them, but ultimately the event is focused on that company and its partners and its
Mm.
agenda. And the Tech Super Show has no agenda. I mean, yes, we have sponsors. Yes, we have people who pay our bills. But if anything, we have a number of competing agendas, right? We have a competing system where, some companies believe in this, some companies believe in that. And ultimately, that viewpoint gets imparted in conference sessions. But the reality is you get an overview by coming to this single event and learning about the whole industry, all the vendors, and what the pros and cons are of working with each. And yeah, that's been exciting about this event. And people tell us all the time, it's not even, some of the events out there that are independent are owned by one big vendor, or like a duopoly of vendors.
Mm.
We don't have that at this show. And that's why actually that there's a new age of companies, these small to medium tech companies that were not easy to discover, and you won't see them very often at other shows. But they do really well at IT Expo because, I think our audience has come to expect a diverse number of mid-size and growing solutions, as opposed to one or two really large companies directing the future of an industry, which is not really how things work, right? To some extent, yeah, they have some control, but ultimately markets decide, and markets are made up of hundreds or thousands of players, and the only way to get access to that at an event is to come to an independent event, and we think ours is one of the best. And we welcome you February 11th through 13th in sunny Fort Lauderdale. Hopefully, knock on wood, that it stays sunny February 11th to 13th. But don't leave the exhibit hall. Stay in the exhibit hall. You can go, plan a couple days, bookend it, right? Right, Evan? Come a
That's
couple
my
days
strategy.
early.
That's get out of Boston. That's my strategy, and my strategy as well is again those medium sized vendor partners, but also to place that services and supports SME customers. There aren't many places for those medium sized 0 to 500 employee companies to explore emerging tech because everyone's focused on the giant enterprises of the world, but America's built on small and medium sized businesses, so it's a great opportunity for them as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, if anything, we've seen. I mean, outside of tech, I think the last few years, if you look at some of these really large companies in America, some of them are just so big that they've kind of frozen in their ability to actually respond to market conditions, right? So it's really the small and medium companies, the up and coming players that are going to take share from these really big behemoths. And how do you do that? How do you make a team of 400 employees seem like a team of 4,000? And the answer is you deploy technology. And this is a golden age of AI. Some people believe we're in the first inning of AI. I agree. We're in the first inning. And if you're in the first inning of the most disruptive technology of our lifetime, and you're a small to medium business trying to compete and gain market share, and you deploy faster than that 800-pound gorilla that you compete with, and you get those solutions to market, you can keep your customers, you can grow your customer base, you can get access to more prospects and get them down the funnel to become customers, all while your multi-billion-dollar competitor is having board meeting after board meeting trying to figure out what to do and how to proceed, because they're just so big, and so legal departments and things like that, they just stop them from doing what they would like to do, the employees would like to do in those organizations. So we're if there's one thing I'd say is that we're at an inflection point where that small to medium business, like never before, can outdo the real large company. And the beautiful thing about these AI solutions is, Evan, yes, they're expensive over time, and if you add a lot of people on them, but really, as a technology, the bang for the buck that you get from something like an OpenAI, that's like even a $20 a month subscription, the amount of value you get from and I'm just using that as an example, just that value was unfathomable a few years ago, that you would spend $20 a month. And I think it's 20, 30, whatever it is that I spent. It's such a small amount of money for what you get back from it. And that's kind of, think about your company being able to harness that kind of return on investment. That's I think how we need to think about this. And think about, you're the small to medium company competing against that behemoth. You have an advantage like you have not had in many years. I'm not sure that we've ever seen an advantage like this. The only time that might have been similar was when voice over IP started in the market, and this is maybe 20
Mm.
years ago, 25 years ago. When we first launched this show, is actually a voice over IP event. And that was when the first time where companies could take advantage of their phone systems and get really advanced functionality in these less expensive phone systems. And that's when we first started to see it. But that was just like working at home, and that helped people right within the office, their phone systems. It wasn't even video back then. Fast forward now, every aspect of your business can be transformed for a minimal amount of money, seeing a return on investment like never before. Oh my God, it's going to be an exciting 5 to 10 years, Evan, I'll tell you.
It is, and even my little 5-person business, as I feel like a 50-person company with about a dozen different AI tools, and I'm certainly punching above my weight class, and can't wait to see what's new at the Gen AI and AI Expo. Thanks so much, Rich, for just a preview. And we'll be doing a series of these videos with sponsors, with exhibitors and analysts over the next few weeks to kind of glean what to expect over the course of this year. Thanks, Rich.
Thank you, Evan. See you
And thanks,
soon.
everyone, for listening, watching, and sign up. Get yourself down to IT Expo in Fort Lauderdale. Take care.
ITexpo.com.
Thanks. Bye-bye.